So I have an email from one of the jurors this morning. Interestingly, he sent two different drafts of it. And the first says, it's to my assistant, when you have a moment, please relay this to the judge. Good morning, Judge Whitaker. I am requesting to be removed from the current case due to the length of this trial and how the state has handled this case. I can no longer be unbiased towards any decisions moving forward. Yesterday provided a glimpse of how the state presented its evidence, and I foresee another 3 to 6 months with the remaining defendants. Thanks. But then that's not what he really meant to send, because he said, I didn't mean to send this version, not the other one, with a minor correction. Hope all is well. When you have a moment, can you relay this email to the judge? Good morning, Judge Whitaker. I am requesting to be removed from the current case due to the length of this trial and how the state has handled this case. I will be biased towards any decisions moving forward. Yesterday provided a glimpse of how the state presented its evidence, and I foresee another 3 to 6 months with the remaining defendants. Thanks. Now, this is the same juror who a few months back asked to be removed from the case and provided no reason whatsoever. And so I just ignored it. I just said, no, you're not removed. Doesn't work that way. And so I think this is just a ploy to get off of a case that
keep the not guilty juror,
because it's taking up his time. Obviously, we can have him out and privately, not with the other jurors around, and ask whatever questions we want of him.
I think Paige has had it, because I think Paige 2 months ago would have said, oh my gosh, a juror that says that they can't help but be biased against the state. She'd be like, this is concerning. This is clearly a juror that's saying whether it's true or not. I think it might be true. The state is a mess. I can't be biased. I can't be not biased. And here Whitaker's saying, I don't want to let this juror go. Whitaker is over this whole trial.
Willing to hear what anybody
my gosh.
has to say about it.
Look at
Doug. I don't know from the court's perspective if this would be appropriate, but I would have no objection to informing this juror that it might not be 3 to 6 months. And I think it might not be 3 to 6 months or whatever he said. And I think that is accurate and honest at this point.
I mean, I think it would be fair to say we have no expectation that it'll be another 3 to 6 months.
He said that he is biased
towards any decisions, whatever that means.
Right, but he said it, but he specifically talked about the state and how the state is cleaning up its case. So therefore, the state would have some concern with the juror not being able to remain fair and impartial, given what his language was. He didn't say to either side. He said specifically to the state.
No, he didn't. He said, I will be biased towards any decisions moving forward. Yesterday provided a glimpse of how the state presented its evidence, and I foresee another 3 to 6 months with the remaining defendants. And frankly, you have to start a case unbiased, but as you listen to the evidence, as long as you don't deliberate with anybody, you can mull the evidence in your own mind. And frankly, if y'all are presenting the case in a way that is driving a juror crazy, that's on you.
And I understand that, but if he is, it appears that he is, his thoughts at this point is that he's, and maybe that's what we need to ask him, whether or not he is still, he still be fair and impartial. And we want to watch everything outside the presence of the other.
I mean, I certainly think that would be appropriate. So I'm looking for some kind of the general language that we give about needing to decide the case based on the evidence. So once I find that, we'll get him out, and y'all can ask whatever questions you want.
And when that is complete, Your Honor, before we bring the whole jury out, I just want to say something to the court, put something on briefly on the record. That can
Okay,
wait
about
till after
this or something else?
Something else. It can wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is crazy, you guys. What shade? We've heard shade this last week come from the judge to the state. Now it's a juror. Now it's a juror, and a little bit bittersweet, right? This has to be so motivating for the remaining defendants. It's got to suck a little bit from the defendants who took the plea deals and now have a record, whether or not they're guilty or innocent of what they pled to. But for the remaining two, this is their second day back, and they get to hear 2 drafts from an email. That juror could have taken the shade to the state out of that second email, but they didn't. They left it in because they sent the draft and then sent the actual one they meant to send. And both times, they shade the state for the way they're handling the case. Guys, by all accounts, I'm not trying to read tea leaves. I think this juror is literally leaning towards not guilty, and that could be down the page, all of them. Like crazy. And again, it might not be because if they're saying they're biased and they're concerned, they probably are truly feeling towards an acquittal. If they're just saying it, there could still be jury nullification. They could vote for an acquittal. They could say, I think they're not guilty, just because I'm over the way the state does things. What if they were pissed about that watch story yesterday? We talked about that at the end of this stream. Just that notion of hearing somebody pilfer a watch while they're executing a search warrant on somebody's house and deciding that's dirty, I don't like that. Going the jury nullification route, where the jury, in an essence, I look at jury nullification as you go rogue because of an issue outside of what you believe about the evidence itself, what the evidence itself has shown, what you think the state has proven or not beyond a reasonable doubt. Jury nullification to me is you go rogue and make your decision for any other reason than what you're supposed to base your reasons on. Like, wow. This is a day. Man, Casey Dog, you missed a juror wrote an email, 2 technically. The draft said, yesterday provided a glimpse on how the state presented its evidence, and I foresee another 3 to 6 months with the remaining defendants, right? So, actually, I think there's more. Hold on. How the state has handled this case, I can no longer be unbiased towards any decisions moving forward. Yesterday provided a glimpse on how the state presented its evidence, and I foresee another 3 to 6 months with the remaining defendants. So the jurors sent one draft, changed it a little, resent the email that they meant to send, but gave this sentiment that they can't be unbiased because of the way the state has handled the case. You can't tell me there's a reasonable reading of that email. That means they're not being critical of the state's case. And Whitaker is holding firm. Whitaker is saying, look, it's okay for a juror to be biased as they learn, right? That's kind of what they're supposed to do. As long as they're not trying to deliberate with the other jurors mid-trial, they're supposed to come up with an opinion of what they think about the evidence as the case moves forward. So Whitaker is keeping this juror, is ready to keep this juror. And the state, rightfully so, is in a panic because that looks really bad for them. This is the second day back after the plea deals that I think were a huge mess for the state last week. Like, this is crazy. Oh, man. Good to see you, Casey Dog. Glad you were here to see how this argument plays out. I don't think Paige is going to budge. And this is so, like, what is it? Karmic justice? Is that the phrase? The state ripped the plea deal offers out from under the feet of the remaining 2 defendants last week. Paige tried to call them out of it. They yanked the remaining 2 plea deals as if they want this trial to keep going. And then the second court day back from that, a juror says, I don't like how the state handles this case. I can't be unbiased. Oof. My goodness. Shout out to STS out here, sniping a slime out here. Again, also had gifted a generous 5 gifts here. Big thank you to STS. Shout out to Simon with the cone of shame here in the picture. Poor Simon. This is crazy. Yeah, I mean, Dennis says the judge is trying to force the state to offer a plea to the defense. Do you think we'll go through that motion again? And if the judge is going to keep this juror, I don't care. You'd have to offer me some plea that was like, we get to shake hands and move the heck along. What kind of plea? Like, think of the leverage the defense attorneys have right now. It's pretty clear a juror thinks your case is garbage. We haven't even started to present our case in chief. You've gone through your key witnesses, your star witnesses. What kind of plea deal if we didn't take if we weren't interested in the other pleas? What type of plea deal would be interesting to us at this point in time? It would have to be a handshake and walk away. and we want that watch back. We want the watch back. Like crazy. I can't believe this is the start of the day. And then at 10, all right, so I said we'll start at 10 a.m. live to watch the Georgia Supreme Court arguments. I don't think this will take much longer. But if it does, we might have to call an audible. I think we should watch the appeal live. The Damon Blaylock with Brian Steele. I think we should watch that live. What a morning. So I think they'd still wait until the state rests their case in chief to motion for a directed verdict. Oh my God, you're here, Heart of Inspiration. Yes. Oh my gosh, just thinking about you. This is crazy. Whitaker is 1,000% over this. Yeah, the jury needs a plea deal at this point. This is crazy. Crazy, crazy. Huge shout out here to PJEDW gifting 10 memberships. You guys make sure you're saying thank you. Hold on, we got to update this banner. I'm just shocked, you guys. I know I keep repeating myself, but I am shocked. I'm just like, what? And it's even funnier because the juror had the opportunity to take that part out of the email and keep it a little bit less descriptive. And they said, no, we're going to keep it in there. We're going to keep it in there. Oh my gosh. Yes, okay, cool. We're going to do the appeal. We're going to do the appeal live. Because we can always get caught up with this court. Oh, man. This is a day. Heck yeah, so Peter Ortiz says, I bet APD has a nice discount store dealing in watches and jewelry. Guys, I really think that watch testimony, shout out to Doug Weinstein. That could have been like the tipping point for this juror.
That juror.
Oh, are they going to question the juror?
Can we get juror number 56 out, please?
Shout out to juror
Thank
number
you.
56.
Did you email me?
I wonder what the state's questions are going to be. The appeal is Damon Blaylock, severed co-defendant in this trial, co-defendant of Lil Rod in the Jamari Holmes murder trial. Brian Steele's doing oral arguments in the appeal this morning in front of the Georgia Supreme Court. Let's see what the juror says or is asked.
So I am in receipt of a correspondence from you this morning. And I'm actually in receipt of both versions of it because you sent one and then you adjusted it, and my assistant had already sent that one to me, so I have both. And you seem to be expressing concerns about the length of the trial. And I've discussed that with all of the attorneys, and we all feel comfortable representing that there is really, it's almost certain that this trial will be over far before 3 to 6 months have elapsed.
Far before.
I think it is probable that it will be over before the end of this year. So I'd like to find out whether that assuages any of your concerns.
Given that you said probable, and I'll keep it as is, but I will, if it prolongs, then I will send out correspondence and if it goes into 2025.
All right. Let me ask you as well. You said that you, first you said you could no longer be unbiased, and then you said that you would be biased towards any decisions moving forward. Is that because of your worries about how long the case might take?
Yes.
Okay.
I projected it when we first
Sure
began this
thing.
entire case, we were projected to be in, 6 months, and then to a year.
Yeah.
And then given the circumstances in between, I just, personally, I just feel like it's just too long.
Yeah.
You know, I love what I do for a living, I miss what I do.
Yeah.
And it's been hindering a lot of things with family and friends. And
Yeah.
things. And so, since you used probable in the sentence, and so therefore I can you're assuring that this will probably go toward the 2024 year, so then therefore I can still stay on board.
Okay. Let me ask you a couple of other things as well. I know that you were instructed with some version of entering the case and considering the evidence with an open mind and not reaching any final conclusions until the trial is over with. Can you continue to assess the evidence with an open mind?
Given the information that we just discussed, and yes,
All right. Okay, and can you decide this case based only on the evidence that is presented in the law that I give you, and not on whether you like or dislike anybody's presentation style?
since you work that way, then yes, I can go along with that.
All right.
Shoot for 2024, just to be.
He just said
All
keep
right,
it to 2024.
Do any of the attorneys have questions for this juror?
Get Max.
I do not, Your Honor.
All right.
I do not.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll excuse you to the jury room, and we'll have y'all all back in just a minute. Thank you.
Shout out to juror number 56. Holy moly. Everyone put 56 in the chat.